This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions.
Hi, welcome back. I'm going to do a stock market update. For those of you new to this channel, I've been providing technical stock research and consulting to institutional money managers for about 35 years, and recently have started to apply those same techniques in helping individual investors. All right, we're going to go through the market conditions and take a hard look at the market in multiple time frames. If you want to learn some more about these techniques, you can start with my book. It's at rabilstockresearch.com/book. Also, if you enjoy this content, please hit that like button and also subscribe. Okay, we'll start out with the sentiment, which has jumped up from 30 to 34% more bulls than bears. And in a bull market, when we get up towards 35%, anywhere in that 35 to 45% range, we start to get there's a little bit more risk when we're looking at the sentiment indicator. So I have moved this over to the right side of neutral. It's not negative yet, but when you start to look at what's taking place in price action as we're attempting to break out, it's really not a good sign that we're already getting bullish and we really haven't had that much upside follow through off this breakout pattern. The other thing is the overbought oversold is at 61%, but I'm moving that over as well. And the reason is that, again, we're trying to break out, but we're showing our third layer of kind of divergence in a way. We're making our second lower high in the RSI. So it's actually moving a little bit closer to the negative camp as well. I think if we were to re-enter this, we would have a pretty clear sign of divergence on this RSI 5. So I don't really like the way these are setting up right now. Typically when you're breaking out, you get good follow through and strength, and DI, 5 DI should be confirming that, but we're obviously not seeing it in the price action, and we're not getting any kind of confirmation from an RSI standpoint. When we look at the volatility, I'm going to go through all of this in a second, but let's just run through this while I have this chart up. The daily volatility is okay, still pulling back and trending lower, so that's positive. On the weekly chart, it is still negative. You can see it's rising above its moving average. Even though this is starting to tip down, as long as it stays above this rising moving average, it would be considered higher risk, more volatility, rising volatility. When we look at the trend, all three of the trends are positive. And then on the momentum, from a momentum standpoint, the monthly is clearly bullish. Weekly is borderline positive. And then the daily has moved to the neutral camp. All right, let's start going through some of these. We can see where the daily average true range has made a clear lower low. And we're below the moving average. The moving average is dropping. So, I mean, this is in pretty good position, and you can actually see how we've pulled back to the 18 MA, and we've pulled back to kind of this breakout area. I think this is a really critical point for this market here, especially based on what's taking place on the weekly. As I've already alluded to, we tried to break out, and then we got a narrow range bar last week. And then if you look at the way this is played out, we sort of opened in the probably right around the midpoint of this bar, tried to push higher and test the high of that candle, and then came back down through the low of it. But we're not getting any downside follow through either, right? I mean, there's just not, I know we're waiting for more data to determine what the Fed's going to do. It just seems like there's a lot of waiting going on. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of decisions being made. And so very, very quiet price action now running on 2 weeks. It's really been 3 weeks, because if you think about it, the breakout didn't have much follow through at all. That really wasn't a very big bar, a breakout bar. And then we had the next week where it was a narrow range bar. And then this week is about the same size. So not really the kind of follow through or price action you want to see when you're attempting to break out. All right, I want to flip over to the different time frames, take a look at what's taking place on the monthly chart. I mean, we have moved up. We've continued to kind of push higher. We're somewhat stretched, but the momentum conditions are okay. I don't see anything that's really bothering me that much, other than the fact that we have pullback risk to the moving average on this time frame. Now, this time frame hasn't been going up for that long, so the risk isn't quite as great as you go back and look at 2021. You can see it went up for a pretty extended period of time. It stayed stretched for a while. This could have another couple months of this before it rolls down. I don't think it's anything imminent, but I will say that we're getting there. We're kind of want to be on the lookout for signs on the lower time frames. So we're starting to see a few things that I think are pretty important. Number one, what I've been talking about here is this breakout pattern that hasn't had follow through. All right, and we had the reverse divergence take place where we did make a slightly lower low here and a significantly higher low here, and then trigger to the upside with the breakout. Okay, but that isn't really all that appealing when you don't get a lot of follow through from that. The other thing that I've been talking about, and that's kind of bothering me about this, is that, you know, this is right here the key level that green DI needs to overtake. This prior peak, that's the peak from here. We've pulled back, we've made a higher high in price, and this is making a lower high, right? We're not, and so we need to see this confirm. We need to see this move up and show some form of confirmation, and we're just not getting it. We're not seeing the kind of follow through that you'd want to see, especially again when you're looking at a breakout pattern. Now this could happen quickly. I mean, it's not like we're breaking down either. But we've got a couple of things we're going to have to watch really closely, I think, as we move through, you know, Friday and into early next week. So first of all, we've got this pullback to a rising 18 on the daily, above a rising 40. They basically look parallel, right? But look at what's taken place. We've got overrun in MACD, okay? And we have zero confirmation in either green DI or the ADX line itself. So I wanted to just make sure you saw this. We have this high in red DI back here, and I didn't really draw that perfectly, but I can tell you that we didn't make a new high, we made a double top. So green, even though we made a full length swing to the upside, green was unable to overtake that prior red peak from here. So that's not, again, that's not the kind of confirmation you want to see. You want to see this making a higher high above the red, confirming that we've got more strength in the buyers. And we want to see enough strength to get the ADX above 25. And that has not happened here. All right. We've gotten a full length move to the upside, a breakout pattern. Now we're pulling back to the breakout level and the 18. But we don't have the ADX. We have made a pivot high, and the ADX did not get above 25. So I'm viewing this as a sign of an exhaustion signal, okay? But we're sitting on the 18 right now. We're sitting on the breakout level. I don't know that I'd want to make any rash decisions until I saw how it reacts at this level right here. Now, one of the things I have been watching is the fact that we had exhaustion on the daily chart, but we also have and had exhaustion on the hourly. You see how we broke out? I mentioned this last week. We broke out, but ADX was unable to confirm that new high. And now, if you notice, we've made a move to the downside. But look at the way these candles are playing out. We're getting a lot of tails underneath. This isn't really that strong a follow through. And you can see the red DI has moved up, but it hasn't caused the ADX to get going to the downside. So we don't have a lot of strength to the upside on that last move, but we don't have the kind of strength to the downside you'd expect either. So it's really non-committal at this point. We've got a downtrend on the hourly chart that can't follow through because the 18 is below the 40. Both lines are declining, and the price is below both moving averages, but we're not getting any downside follow through, and we kind of need to take out this prior low here to really get confirmation that things have weakened. And then on this time frame, on the daily chart, we don't have the upside strength based on the ADX or the DI to feel really confident that this is a solid breakout. But so far, we're sitting and holding the 18-day the last couple days. So I think, you know, we're probably getting pretty close to seeing some kind of a resolution in one direction or the other. But I don't think this is a time to be really, I mean, up until this point, I don't think there's really been enough information for us to be strongly committed in one direction or to the other. think if we break the 18-day, then we're probably going to work our way down closer to the 18-week, maybe fill in a little bit more on the to the 18-month line. If we can turn here and form a pivot low at the 18, then my guess is that we'll see a decent enough strength in the momentum here to the upside that'll kind of kick things off and get the ADX going positively with ADX confirming. So we kind of want to watch this just because we've had some narrow range price action. You can really see the non-committal price action on the hourly, and you can see it on the daily chart. So let's see if this economic data forces one hand or the other in a direction, and we get something out of this. Obviously, based on the way the sentiment looks and way the RSI is trading right now, and the fact that we have higher volatility on the weekly chart, it's not a time to be overly aggressive, I would say, in either direction anyway. So anyway, that's the update for the week. Let me know if you have any questions.